Hi. Okay, so today I want to talk about a book, and I never do this, but somebody had asked me a question, and I responded to them that The Great Pain Deception is a great book to read by Steve Ozanich, and I never mention books or particular podcasts or YouTube channels or functional medicine doctors or books or any information that I've read along the way. I don't usually do that because I have thousands and thousands and thousands that I've read, and so many have been helpful that I don't usually focus on just one. But I recommended this as a great book, and I'm here to show it to you. It is called The Great Pain Deception by Steve Ozanich. And TMS healing has been really helpful for me as a mind shift, as a mind shift away from actually having the mentality of being sick to the mentality of being healed. And I do have many, and I've listened to many, and I still listen to many people and podcasts about TMS. I think I probably have about 11 different TMS books in my library at home. But I consider this to be the greatest, almost like the TMS Bible. So we're going to talk a little bit about it today since it has sparked my memory to talk about this. Anyways, we are going to be talking about, there's a chapter in this book, it's chapter 36. And of course, if you can see, all my books look like this, but there's all kinds of highlighted sections and things that apply to me. I don't know if you're like me, but I probably have 2,000 books on my bookshelf, and I have millions and millions of other lectures and podcasts and everything saved. And I have everything like earmarks and stuff for what's helped me and what hasn't. But anyways, this one particular chapter is called Troubled Healers, Unconscious Resistance to Change. So I want to talk about this and why people don't heal, right? Why people aren't healing. What is stopping them? Where is the resistance, right? And I've spent so much time in journaling, in self-discovery, and meditation trying to figure out, am I doing this to myself? Is there a reason why I'm resisting healing? And he talks about many different things in here, and I've underlined certain parts, so I'm just going to talk about some of them. There's a quote in here by Dr. Gibbon that says, "Chronic illness is a shelter, a cave in the rocks into which a wounded spirit can safely crawl." Whew, that's just big hearing that, right? So are you needing a cave into the rocks in which your wounded spirit can crawl? Is your chronic illness a shelter? I mean, on some level, is it a shelter from something? Right? So I've learned through a lot of different personal experiences that I don't want this chronic illness at all. And in no way, shape, or form did I create it or manifest it. It was done to me. It was terrible. But why am I holding on to it years later after my body should have healed? Why is it still here? Is it in some way a cave where my wounded spirit, because my spirit was wounded so badly, and is it there? Maybe. There's another part that says, consciously they do want to get better. People do want to get better, but unconsciously they resist. I agree with that. They make up excuses as to why they aren't healing. They cling to old beliefs for security, constantly talk about their symptoms, yes, and routinely identify other causes behind their pain or fatigue beyond just the fact that you have pent-up emotions. So if that's you, you may be a troubled healer because, you're in resistance. So I'm turning the page here. I underlined another. I'm just turning to my underlined sections here. I'm reading what I have underlined. I have no idea what it is. I'm just reading it as I go along. I've underlined the resistance to becoming whole again. You keep recreating the same victimization neurotransmitters. You feel forever disabled, but you're not. You've chosen to accept the notion that you're flawed, and so he is. So On some level, do you choose to believe that you're flawed and you can't do certain things, and you keep recreating this same victimization, like, I'll never be able to do this. My life is ruined because of this. I can't do this because of this, right? There's more reasons why people aren't healing, and I have underlined here, because we fear change. Most of us remain in the old familiar places, clinging to situations and relationships that have essentially ended. So again, fearing change is a big one. Even though you want to heal, what would you have to do if you healed? If you were fully healed and you were living the life that you wanted, maybe it would mean going back to work. Maybe it would mean getting out there and doing a whole bunch of things that you actually don't really want to do. Are you fearing that change in your life? Just the unknown. You don't want to go get back out into the world, make all these commitments, have all these things that you now have to do that you once had to do, and now you have this excuse that you get out of these things now, and maybe you just don't want to do them. On a subconscious level, of course, nobody wants to be sick. I'll just reiterate, nobody wants to be or stays sick, but this is our subconscious reasons that keep us sick. Okay, I have some more things underlined from here. Are you afraid that if you heal, your support group will abandon you? Do you see your emotional wounds as a means of bonding with another person? And does healing mean having to separate from that person? That is a big one. I was in support recovery groups for years. Before I even started this channel, before I even started this blog, I had so many people. And still to this day, if you heal and the other person doesn't, you have to give those friendships up. You have to give that support up, that emotional bond that you created. Even in the worst situation, you grow your separate ways, you go your separate ways, and you give that up. And another very important reason why people won't heal. I have underlined here, does your pain give you a sense that you won't be taken care of if it fades? And just substitute illness, chronic fatigue syndrome, neuralgia. Just substitute any word for pain, because he's talking about pain specifically in here, but just substitute whatever you're dealing with, put the word in there, and ask yourself the same question. Does your blank give you a sense that you won't be taken care of if it fades? Or that you won't have any way to be heard or recognized? That is huge. I am constantly wanting to be recognized for doing this, for going through this, for not throwing in the towel, for just staying alive through the worst, and for, being a mom and planning the parties and doing all the things in spite of my symptoms. I want to be heard. I want to be recognized. I won't be taken care of if it goes away. I won't maybe have that person to say, let me do it for you. Let me help, right? People can also use pain or illness to manipulate others, I have underlined, to gain trust or to compete with sufferers for attention. Okay, so what else? A final caveat he has here. Okay, so no, I'm not going to read that. But let me just skip to another page. Another reason is looking at the time, right? Are you still here yet? Are you still here? You're paying attention to your healing progress, and you're really supposed to be living. So anyways, all of this, here's a quote from Carolyn Myss, the author of Why People Don't Heal and How They Can. Also another great book. I've read that book, but that isn't from this book, but he has the quote in this book, but I've also read that. It says, "It has become apparent to me that assuming that everyone wants to heal is both misleading and potentially dangerous, because change is among the most frightening aspects of life. You may fear change more intensely than illness and enter into a pattern of postponing the changes you need to make." So, are you postponing your illness? And maybe you answer no. I mean, a lot of times I have sat down with these kinds of books and answered no. Like, I want to heal. But then, here's another quote by David Bresler. It free yourself from pain. And it says, finally, I have also met some people who have refused to relinquish their pain because they believe it is a justified punishment for something they have or have not done. Do you feel like this is a punishment for something that you did? Did you get yourself into this situation somehow? Do you have a regret? Do you wish you could go back and change something? Are you being punished? Do you feel that this pain is a justification? You know? There's a lot of really, I mean, this is just one chapter. It's about troubled healers. It's about why people don't heal. But the whole book is very, very useful and has many, parts in it that will point you in the direction of mind-body healing, which is essentially what healing all boils down to. Here's a quote from Steve Ozanich himself, and it says, "Today, I know that pain is a message of imbalance, self-inflicted distractions from unwanted thoughts and emotions. When these arising darker thoughts conflict with how we view ourselves, symptoms then become necessary to distract us. A brain attempting to distract you is a brain that is trying to deny something." So, again, interesting. Very interesting. I want to end this. I'm going to go to his last chapter. I don't want to give away the whole book, but I do want to say that on one of his last pages here, he says, if I had to give the cause of pain an emotional label, it would be guilt or shame. Guilt is personal reaction and shame is a social reaction to embarrassment. Okay? He goes on to say that deep down inside, people know where they need to be and what they need to see in order to become happy and free of this pain. They just lack the faith needed for the journey, and so the pain and illness are messengers that push them towards the wholeness of love and truth. So this book is a huge, deep, amazing book. And again, I don't normally review books. I don't normally talk about them. But this book has been instrumental to me. I don't generally, there are books that I have read more than 3 times. And those books I consider to be amazing books. I think I've read this book about 7 times, and it's a huge book. It's very dense. There's a lot in here. And I mean, this may be the only book you need to heal. And I'm not just saying that. I'm saying I've read over 2,000 books. Many of them say the same recurring themes. Many of them talk up when we're looking at mind-body syndrome healing, which I didn't believe for the longest time was the truth. I believed we needed a physical healing. How do I do this? Through diet and supplements and something physical to correct the physical imbalance that I'm feeling in my body. But it's actually a mind imbalance that corrects our physical body. Again, another quote from The Great Pain Deception here: body and mind are united. Right? Body and mind are united. So, yeah, let me see if I can find another interesting part that I highlighted. All of it's really interesting, actually. Okay, here's a chapter on letting go. I've been talking about letting go a lot lately. So let's just talk about letting go. Okay. He says, life events do not cause tension. Destructive emotions assigned to the events do, just as fear doesn't cause TMS. The reaction to overcoming the source of the fear does. So he goes on to say, the pain begins to wane when you no longer attach any meaning to the structural changes or when you let go of these things that sting your ego. So, yeah, it's very important that we let go of the story, right, of the story. We're holding on to things that don't serve us anymore. You don't want to carry your stories about illness to the grave. You don't want to carry the belief that you have that, this is wrong or that is wrong, but you don't want to carry that with you anymore. They are just stories that have become beliefs over time because we keep thinking them. The only truth is that you're in a lot of resistance. You feel a lot of emotions inside your body. That's what the basis of TMS is. You feel a lot of emotions inside your body that are manifesting as physical sensations, bodily symptoms, pain, all kinds of other illnesses, right? So the emotions, we are not looking at them, we're not turning inward toward them, and over time they are manifesting as physical ailments. And that's basically what TMS is in a nutshell. And I really believe that we do need to feel our feelings and not accept that we have pain somewhere, or our back hurts, or we're tired, or exhausted, or we're dizzy, or our nerves, are vibrating, or whatever it is. We need to not believe and trust the symptom, but trust the fact that we are at conflict with ourselves. We are in conflict with ourselves. We are feeling certain things and we're stuffing them down inside every day. We stuff everything inside every day. And we live our life and we do what we think we should do, and we try our best to get everything perfect, and we try to heal, and we do everything best that we can, but we're in odds on what we really want and need and feel inside our body. And it's only when we look inward and recognize what it is we're truly feeling and wanting and needing, and give that to ourselves and stop denying truth, then we start to shift to a different phase of healing. And we understand that although we must take care of our physical body with diet and exercise and sleep and water and all the good things, when we're no longer obsessed with detox and getting everything perfect through the body, we see and we can start to correlate that the actual illness and symptoms are from the fight with ourselves about something that we're living incongruently with who we are and what we actually believe and what we want and what we need and how we feel, and we're putting a different face on, and we're stuffing feelings, and we're acting a different way. And sometimes we don't even know that. Sometimes it's subconscious, but it's the incongruency between the truth of who and what we are to what we're living and what we're saying and feeling and doing. So that is the truth. So again, I'm just going to promote this book and also promote TMS healing, along with all kinds of other mind-body healings, right? It's so important to not just get caught up in the physical, because it's more than that. If you have a chronic illness, it's more than physical. And the deep healing comes with the deep unraveling of where you're at odds with yourself. So I hope this has been helpful. And for the person who asked about this book, this is going to, if you haven't already read it, I hope that you do. And this just gives you a little bit of information about TMS healing, and one of the probably starting points, maybe a year and a half ago, that really helped to shift, maybe longer than that, maybe closer to 2 years, that really started to shift my thinking. Okay, so I hope that was helpful.